Here, this is the third chapter from the story Horrible Harry and the Holidaze, written by Susie Klein. So, if you guys remember, Harry and the rest of his classmates are getting to learn about some different holidays that are celebrated around December, January, as well as some different ways people celebrate Christmas. And so Miss Mackle, the teacher, is so excited because she's got some parent volunteers to share information about the holidays, some of the holidays celebrated by students in their class. And so in chapter 3, we're going to learn, as it says, heads up for Kwanzaa. Okay. You can see that this is not exactly, oh, actually I need to present this, I'll present my screen with you all so that you all can follow along. Y'all still have the link. But here, heads up for Kwanzaa. This is a candle holder. It is known as a kinara. And I do need to tell you guys, there might be some words I am not sure how to pronounce correctly. And I might just have to try my very best with that. Okay? Because these are words coming from a different language. So I'm going to try. So chapter 3, heads up for Kwanzaa. At the end of that day, Miss Mackle called Harry up to her desk. Although I couldn't hear what they were saying, I noticed Harry's eyebrows. They kept sinking lower and lower as he was talking to the teacher. It made him look mad, then sad. When it was Miss Mackle's turn to talk, Harry listened. Slowly, he lifted his eyebrows higher and higher. None of us found out until later what it was all about. The next day, Ida was really excited because her mom was coming to school. At 1 o'clock, Miss Mackle introduced her. Boys and girls, welcome Mrs. Burrell. Everyone looked at Ida's mom. She was holding a large basket and wearing a turban, big gold earrings, and a long dress. Hi, boys and girls, she said cheerfully. Ida popped out of her seat and proudly stood next to her mom. Kwanzaa is a celebration of our African American heritage and our future, Mrs. Burrell explained. Dr. Malana Karenga created Kwanzaa in 1966. This is going to be fun, Ida said. Can I start now, Mom? Yes, her mother answered. Ida pulled a flag out of the basket. This is our African American flag. The red band stands for our struggle for freedom. The black stands for the color of our people, and the green represents the land of Africa and our hope for the future. Ida reached in the basket again. This time she pulled out a mat. This is and look at this. I'm very glad that they have here in parentheses, it's showing me how to sound that word out. And since this part right here is in all capital, that means I'm supposed to emphasize that or say it a bit louder than the other. Not yelling, okay? But it's just going to have, I'm just going to stress it more. Mkeka. Mkeka. So this is a mkeka. That's a Swahili word for a hand-woven mat. It is an example of things we make by hand. So, mkeka. Mrs. Burrell nodded, then added, "It also shows that who we are and what we do are woven together." Look, I was thought I could include some of the illustrations. There aren't illustrations on every single page, but every now and then. And having, a few illustrations every now and then can help us keep focused on trying to picture what's going on in the story. So, Miss Burrell, so the turban, the big gold earrings, her long dress. So, when Ida pulled out a large candle holder, her mother said, "Kwanzaa starts on December 26th and lasts 7 days through January 1st. Each night we light a candle. This candle holder is called a kinara. It symbolizes our ancestors. See, it has 7 candles in Kwanzaa colors." Now, I know that this is black and white, but I can show you guys on the front cover of my book. This side, here is the kinara. So there are 7 candles in Kwanzaa colors, 3 red, 3 green, and 1 black one in the middle. Mary raised her hand. "Kwanzaa must be like Hanukkah. We have a candle holder too. Only it's called a menorah and has 2 more candles. We light a new candle each night just like you do, but Hanukkah lasts 8 days, not 7. Miss Mackle clapped her hands. "Oh, I love it when you find connections between the different holidays." Ida clapped her hands too, then continued. "Kwanzaa is like Christmas because we exchange presents on the 7th day. Our gifts are homemade or handed down from our families. However, unlike Christmas and Hanukkah," Mrs. Burrell explained, "Kwanzaa isn't a religious holiday. Each family celebrates Kwanzaa in its own way, but all families recognize the 7 principles of Kwanzaa called Nguzo Saba." Please say those words again, Zuzu asked. Ida and her mother repeated them slowly so we could learn them. Nguzo Saba. Nguzo Saba, we all chanted. Nguzo Saba. Ida unrolled a chart with the 7 principles printed neatly on it. Unity. So that's the first principle. Unity, we mean working together. Self-determination, speaking for ourselves. Cooperative work, solving our problems. Cooperative economics, building our businesses. Purpose, remembering traditions and values. Creativity, improving our communities. Faith, believing in our people, our parents, our teachers, our struggle for equality. Next, Ida took out 2 pies from the basket. On the 6th night of Kwanzaa, we have a big feast called a karamu. Some of the things we eat are collard greens, catfish, black-eyed peas, corn, fruit, and sweet potato pie. We brought a sample for you. "Ooh," we said, watching Mrs. Burrell serve the pie on paper plates. I said, swallowing my first sweet bite. "This is good." Can we have seconds? Sid asked. I'm sorry, there isn't enough, Mrs. Burrell replied. But we do have a special activity, making kufis. What are kufis, Ida? Zuzu asked. African hats, Ida answered. First, you have to measure the circumference of your head. Ida's mother smiled at her when she said that C word correctly. We'll give everyone 3 strips of poster paper so you can make a skull cap hat. Skull cap, Sid repeated. Neato. So when they're talking about circumference, we're talking about kind of in the shape of a circle or an oval. As far as and going all the way around would be the circumference. Okay. As soon as Ida gave everyone a tape measure from one of the plastic tubs in our math corner, we compared head sizes. Mary went first. Mine's 21 inches. Mine's 58 inches, Sid bragged. I have the biggest head in the class. Zuzu put down his tape. Sydney, that couldn't be. Your head isn't 5 feet around. T-Rex might have one that big, but not you, Harry piped in. That private talk with the teacher must have helped some. Not only was Harry making a hat, he was thinking about horrible things again, like dinosaurs. Look, Sid replied, a brain the size of mine needs lots of room. Mrs. Mackle smiled as she went over to Sid's desk. I think you're using the metric side of your tape, Sydney. You're right, though. Your head does measure 58 centimeters. Sid flipped the tape over and remeasured. Okay, it's 23 inches. Same thing. My head still is the biggest in the class. Ida got us back on track. Make your strips a little longer than your head size so the ends overlap when you staple them. One goes around your forehead, the other 2 crisscross on top and attach it. You can draw shapes on the strips with magic markers. After that, you can line the inside of your crown with any color of crepe paper you want. I'm using black, Mary said. I'm using red, Sid said. I'm using green, Song Lee said. When we finished our kufi hats, we put them on and sat proudly together for a picture. I thought Mary's head looked bigger than Sydney's, though. It probably was her pigtails. Oh, so our next chapter tomorrow, titled Crash. Oh my goodness. That sounds like it's going to be interesting.